We're live.
All right. Welcome back, fellow TFFL owners, to your weekly TFFL webcast. It is Wednesday, November 6th, 2019. We are looking back at Week 9 TFFL action, looking ahead to Week 10. We have a smaller panel than normal. Our Commissioner, Terry, as well as Berto, both out tonight. We are grateful to have with us a special guest, majority owner of the Slippery Beavers, the 9-0 Slippery Beavers, Bill Thornburg. Welcome.
You know, the word of the day is humility. We want to recognize the fact that we're here. It's pretty lucky that we're
a half hour late for this.
You know,
I know. Thorny, you come with audio or video troubles, then you drop that kind of smack. I mean, look, I appreciate the bravado more than anyone, but maybe a little, give it a little time.
Hank, our IT director, is our CEO of the K-Wheels, the 5 and 4 K-Wheels.
Yes, 5 and 4 K-Wheels. Happy to be here. Good evening.
And Chief, skipper of the Sponge Fishermen, the 6-2-1 Sponge Fishermen. Welcome.
We live in exciting times.
Yes, we do. So all 4 of the folks on your panel tonight have winning records. An expert panel we have here.
That might be a first.
That probably is. So let me run through our headlines that will get us started with our chat tonight. Again, the Beavers winning in Week 9, a league high 94 points, 9-0 on the season now. We had an undefeated season last year by the Boba Fats, 12-0-1. Beavers with a chance to top that, potentially a perfect 13-0. We'll talk a little more about that later on. On the other side, the Senators, unfortunately, still without a win, now 0-9 on the season. Speaking of the Senators, the bad injury news of the week is that Cam Newton on IR with his foot injury. Probably not a keeper for the Senators heading into next year. By the way, Tom Brady has been healthy all season, not doing great, but averaging 15.9 points per game. Gardner Minshew goes to the bench for the Jacksonville Jaguars and for Jack's Giant Killers. Probably not going to end up being a keeper for the Giant Killers. We had a tie. I mentioned the Sponge are 6-2-1. We had a tie. This is our first of the year, I believe, right? Yep. Sponge and the AMPAC in the big game of the week tied up at 49. And that is thanks in part to the New England Patriots defense scoring 0 for the Amsterdam Packers. Am I correct? First time all year that the Patriots have not put points on the board for the Amsterdam.
That is correct.
Nice work for the Patriots helping you out there, Chief.
As prophesized.
The fun game, I think, to watch heading down the stretch this week was the Dirt Devils shocking the Lizards. 69-67. The Dirt Devils got huge Sunday night performances from Lamar Jackson, Mohamed Sanu. Lizards tried to catch up with Dak Prescott on Monday night, coming up just 2 points short. I feel like we haven't had as many of those sort of Monday night nail biters this year as we did last year. Chief had a couple early in the season. Hopefully this is the start of a bunch of those down the stretch here. And the Aliens, 92 points in Week 9. And the news here really is that Matt Stafford will start his 3rd straight game for us now in Week 10. Really has taken over that job from Carson Wentz. So those are your headlines. Let me give you a trivia question to think on. Hank's going to give us some bonus questions. We got lots ahead here today.
And we have a guest. The guest can improve their score.
Correct. And
whatever we can do to make things competitive.
And because Berto seems to think there's so much collusion against him, we've got a nice, easy question for everybody tonight to score 2 points while he's out.
What we need.
Right number.
Love those conspiracy theories.
I think this should be easy. It does force you to go back a few years. But I want you to name the 3 founding owners of the TFFL.
I love this question.
I actually don't know it, but I'll take a guess.
And I'll give you 2 points for each of them that you can name.
This is exactly what I was talking about.
There you go, Hank. All right. Phil has a whole bunch of other questions. I don't know if we're going to give away points for them or not, but let's see.
Look, it's an idea. I spent some time this week giving Stick some ideas for fodder for the webcast, and as I came up with them and kind of sent him over kind of some of the ideas I come up with, he quickly smacked me down and we're like, yeah, some of these are worthy of mention. Maybe a couple like good ideas. So I'm like, all right, asshole, I'll come up with some way to use these things. So I've developed something that maybe will be interesting, maybe it won't, but I've got a bunch of numbers. So we're going to call this the numbers game. And I have a theme song. So I'll just let it play in the background here. So we're going to play this game. I'm going to throw out a number, all right? And I'm hoping that you will, buzz in or raise your hand or whatnot, and then you will tell me what that number is referring to from last week, okay? I'll throw out a first one, and let's see if somebody can get this, all right? So the number that I'm going to throw out in the first one is 53. And so if you can think of what would 53 maybe be. And I'm going to be honest, these are hard.
Boy, some warning would have been nice in this.
53-yard run by McCaffrey.
And Beavers running backs.
Yes, that is exactly it. There are 53 points scored by the Beavers running backs in week number 9. That's a good one.
And McCaffrey's run was 55. Sorry, I forgot.
There you go. All right. This one's a tougher one. All right. The next number is 56. 56.
I would say someone's wide receivers.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit this out on religious grounds.
You're not agreeing with the number?
Yeah, whatever the opposite of numerologist is, that's what I am.
56 is the total bench points for the Hormel Hams.
That is correct.
Oh,
that is correct. That would have beaten 3 teams and tied another one in the league this week. Just their bench. The next number, is 42. 42.
Oh, that's Russell Wilson's point.
That is Russell Wilson. That is 42 points from Russell Wilson. Question to the panel. Chief, you can answer this. Do the Hams have a quarterback controversy? They've got Mahomes, who's going to be coming back off of an injury, right? Displaced kneecap or whatever it was.
Can you imagine streaming those two?
Right. And you got Russell Wilson, who just put up 42 points. So
I don't think controversy is the right word.
What's that?
I don't think controversies.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that. That's not. It's.
But
somebody's going to sit. Here's the point: is that every week he's going to have a decision, and somebody's going to sit. And a couple weeks he might be wrong.
I'll take it one step further. Could Patrick Mahomes be traded right now?
Well, you can't.
Why not?
Why not?
Oh, not now.
Why not?
Because the trade deadline's passed.
No, TFFL.
Oh boy.
We would have known that. Where's our commissioner?
The trade deadline is like the day before.
Oh, you mean the TFFL? I'm sorry. Right.
No, what are you talking about?
The website says the 14th. I think Terry said it was before Thanksgiving.
You're correct. You are correct. You are correct.
So, listen, if and I don't want to get away from this game we're playing here, but if someone makes the Hams a strong offer on Pat Mahomes, you get 2 great quarterbacks. Granted, Wilson is 6 years older or so, or at least. But I think Russell Wilson has proven to me, at least, that he can make any receivers in the world look good.
Yeah,
Brady-like in that regard.
DK Metcalf, he's a good man.
And if you're gonna start Russell Wilson, and I think 3 weeks ago we were talking how if you could start a TFFL franchise with any player, I think Patrick Mahomes was the almost consensus choice there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not unfeasible coming off a significant injury that he could be traded.
He could. See if the Hams decide to use him to get a couple of,
Listen, if Ralph called him up, Ralph talked to him tonight and said, "Hey, I'll give you Zeke Elliott and number 2 pick for Pat Mahomes." He's got to think about it, right?
Got to think about it. Or is Wilson the one you try and trade?
Right. I think more likely he'd want to trade Wilson. And
I would think so too. I think the return on Mahomes would be significantly larger.
Well, we'll see. If the Hams are, they're still battling for playoff positioning, but if they, if they come around, we'll see.
Listen, we talked about this. Yeah, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. Asked that exact question, and the point we made back then was that Wilson, even then, was the number 1 scoring QB in the TFFL. It sounded crazy to talk about benching Mahomes, but you could have justified it a couple of weeks ago. He's now gone and added a 42-point performance. He's by and far the number 1 quarterback in the league. I don't think it's so much a controversy that he can easily justify Wilson going forward.
Yeah, he could.
So nice job with the numbers game, stimulating a good conversation. Hey.
All right, I got a couple more.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to hijack it. You got more? Throw them.
That's all right. All right, the next number is 86. This might be a little tougher. 86.
That was my number in high school. That's a tight end for Bridgewater Rainham Regional.
That might be. Did you say Bridgewater Right Hand Regional?
I did not, but that's funnier.
It is.
I think 86 is what the Fats scored.
And I'm pointing that out. That is correct. And it is what the Fats scored. And I'm pointing that out because this is what they did without the Frams.
Yes.
This is the Framsless Fats, which, and I've given them a lot of heat for being, dependent on that team. But that's 86 points with no Frams. So
you can only start 9, though.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, Hank. We owe Rob a bit of an apology. I think I called him a near lock to lose in week 9, and he did lose. And part of the reason we were that confident was the Fats were playing the Beavers, who delivered with 94 points, but the Fats came through with 86 points when they had no business scoring that many. Well done, Rob.
Surge team.
Yeah, and none of going right. So
coming off the injured list, and your Rams.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They're not done.
They may not be. All right. The next one, the next few are a pair of numbers. So this numbers are 4 and 1. So the number 4 and the number 1. What do they have to do with anything? It's tougher. I'll give you this one. There are 4 players on the Hams roster last week that scored 1 point. They had 4 players who only scored 1 point last week, and exactly 1 point.
And they had a resounding win, did they not?
And they won. So, per Russell Wilson's 42 points, see previous point. Yes.
But that's a recurring theme too. We talked about that early in the year. The Hams have not gotten production at the wide receiver or running back spot all year long.
Yeah, it's not consistent enough.
No.
All right, same idea. The numbers are 5 and 0.
The Senators have 5 players score 0.
Who was it?
I said the Senators, but I have no idea.
Mongols
is the correct answer.
Yep.
All right.
That's a point for the guest.
I gotcha. All right. Then the last one I have here is the numbers are 30 and 37.
Don't know.
30 is the number that Kramer got to sit on from Thursday night to Sunday with Garoppolo, and the rest of his team scored 37 points to come up with a loss. So
Your loss was 67?
Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah,
I think this would be more interesting in sort of a, hey, here's some quirky things from the weekend, as opposed to a guess what the number is.
Well, and that was the question. Is that these are? And I said maybe it's just better if I read off these interesting facts. But there, I find these as
I think it's a wonderful contribution. I think the quiz show part is a little.
All right. Well, we'll work on the
good feedback from our most dedicated viewer.
Absolutely. We'll work on the format.
Only.
Well, thank you for playing and entertaining. We'll work again. We'll work on the format. We appreciate the
Johnny, tell them what they've won.
But again, some good jumping off points there into some discussion.
Indeed.
Okay, so Hank, you're gonna take back the stage here. It's time for TFFL standings.
Yes, it is.
We have 4 games to go now, folks.
All right. So here we go. Standings. In the top of the picture, the so East, the Beavers are 9-0, and they have clinched the East. In the West, our own Sponge Fishermen are 6-2-1 now with the tie, so they got a 1.5 lead. In the North, the Pack have a 3-game lead based on the tiebreaker in the NOCO East, and the Aliens now lead the West, holding their tiebreak over the Lizards at 5-4. In the chase behind them, the Wheels 5-4, the Hams 5-4. They're going to play each other week 12. The Lizards have lost to both the Hams and the Wheels. The Fats, while a game behind, have beaten both the Hams and the Wheels and still have an upcoming game with the Lizards. This is our last panel, and these guys are now looking firmly to next season. And so let's see. The Devils Devils did themselves no favors this week, right? They beat the Senators, or they lost it. Yeah, they beat the Senators. So the magic number for the Senators is 2 to clinch top pick. So if they lose 2, or the Devils and Mongols each win 1, that'll do it. So there are your standings.
One correction there, because Rich is another dedicated viewer. The Lizards actually beat the Aliens earlier in the year, so technically they hold the tiebreak right now.
Oh, they do.
We do still have a head-to-head game coming up in Week 13 that can change that.
And my apologies to Bergman. I thought that I had read that as the Aliens actually had beaten the Lizards earlier.
And I'll be accused of counting some chickens here. I don't mean to do that at all. But the Lizards play the Beavers in Week 10. We'll get to our schedule down the line here. Aliens play the Devils in Week 10. Little easier matchup for the Aliens. Obviously, the chances there for us to take the lead in this division after Week 10. But right now, it's the Lizards, technically with the tiebreaker.
Okay.
All right. So, Bill, welcome. We're gonna shine the spotlight on the Slippery Beavers here for a little bit. The big question, of course, is will this franchise go undefeated? I'll let Hank and Chief answer that, but I want to ask you, is that something you're dreaming about, thinking about, confident about?
Dreaming about, obviously, but I would say confidence is about 50-50 right now. You just don't keep putting up those kind of, I mean, I would prefer if Christian McCaffrey had another bye week right now, to be all honest with you. I mean, there's a lot of miles there, but I can't say that our schedule doesn't look favorably upon finishing undefeated, but
wow,
I would say it's 50-50.
That's I think that's bold. I think you got 2 tough games coming up. I think
yes, the 2 tough ones. Yes, we've got. Although the next week doesn't look as difficult as it did before.
Now you get the Lizards and the Aliens, right? And then you got the Mongols and the Devils to finish. The Devils and the Mongols in that order.
Right.
So I mean, the Lizards they're hungry. They got to win something. If the Lizards, if they don't win now, or they got to turn it around.
Well, excuse me, I'm going to the game thing. I'm opening up the window here. Apologies. Liz also, but they lost, they lost one of the starting running backs. They've got to fill in stuff. They're putting in, they're probably going to use a tight end. They're, Eckler and Thomas are basically the only guys who, are high end scorers. So
this sounds like a guest guaranteeing a victory.
I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm just saying if you say that we're more than 50% probable of winning this week, I would say yes. Are we more than 50% probable of winning next week? Yes. Are we way more than 50% probable the next 2 weeks? Yes. But if you add up those percentages, there's a loss in there somewhere.
I sense a lot. Yeah.
And right now, I think you got to look at Week 11 against the Aliens, from what I just heard. Mm-hmm. Missing Aaron Rodgers, which is probably the best chance.
And we're going with Sam Darnold, of course. Yeah.
As of now, I assume you're going to make a move to get better than Sam Darnold.
He may not.
Why?
But the Aliens have their entire team available. Aliens are obviously a very good scoring team, especially as of late. I'm not going to say you're going to lose that one because we'll wait till it happens and you see the lineups. But, Bill, I think half me would like to see a team go 13-0, in the TFFL regular season. And I think you've got as good as a shot as anyone in recent years. The Beavers are loaded. And they're, Josh Jacobs has had everything you could have hoped for in a rookie year. Christian McCaffrey, as I said probably 2 weeks ago, I think is probably the most reliable scorer, the TFFL. You got good depth. The tandem of Galladay and Godwin are putting up some serious points. Made a strong move for Emmanuel Sanders to tighten up that number 3 wide receiver, assuming what we saw last Thursday is representative of what he's going to do. I think he get a good chance, but I think that Week 11 game against the Aliens is the tough one.
Yep, I agree with that. Look, I think the only thing that the Beavers have really done is they have now bitten the karma dragon right smack in the ass, dealing with the Giant Killers. And hey, look, I think Emmanuel Sanders looked great. He looked like a young version of himself on Thursday night, and maybe you'll get that kind of production from him. But as I sent in a private email to Thorny that I will not reread, for public consumption, but a couple of the points I made were, you've just now ensured that Emmanuel Sanders is about to get hurt, and that Deebo Samuel, the guy you traded as a throw-in, is going to go off in without question. And this is going to backfire because it always does with Berto. He's going to get the better end of this deal when it comes at the end of the day.
You forget that I am the Dragon Slayer. I was the one who traded to the Killers Lamar Miller for his 2nd-round pick next year.
True.
Which is going to be pick, 15, 16, something like that?
Wait a minute. Didn't you also get Demaryius Thomas from him?
No, that was Terry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But that also is going to turn into a good –
16
that's going to be a top of the 3rd-round pick.
Kind of guy.
I told you to save the email so that you can throw it back in my face when I'm wrong.
It's already starred and saved, passed on the right places, so it'll be easy recollection upon consummation.
Who were those 3 consecutive number 1 picks? Joik Bell, Devontae Parker, and who?
Yeah, well, your picks have been awesome.
So your trading acumen might be up right now, but your drafting acumen doesn't leave me full of confidence with a number 16 pick. Regardless, great trade. I'm just busting balls here.
Thank you. It was something we could do without that much damage and solidified the options we have moving forward.
All right, this guy I was targeting myself. But who was that third when you had like the 8, 9, 10 overall picks? Don't remember? Joy Bell was 1. Devontae Parker was 1.
Thorny draft years past. Stick it up there.
Marquise Goodwin or somebody. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
All I know is you had 3 first-round picks and whiffed on all 3 of them.
Matt Jones.
Ooh, that was a 1st-round pick?
Ooh.
The first of the 3 first-round picks.
Ooh.
Where was it?
Number 7 overall. The first of Thorny's 3 first-rounders was Matt Jones.
The other 2?
Joik Bell and Devontae Parker.
In the same draft?
Yes.
Am I not talking clearly?
I'm sorry.
We've done appreciably better since then.
Consecutive picks.
I have been drinking a little bit. But
we've done appreciably better since then.
Chief, I misunderstood the premise in that it was 3 straight picks versus 3 consecutive years. I thought you whiffed 3 straight years.
7, 8, and 9 in the 2015 draft.
That is horrific. Yeah, good. Nice. Nice to know I'm not alone.
All right, so I want to point out, in our final webcast, I think it was before the start of the season, one of the things we talked about was the Beavers entering the season with the strongest keeper list or the most balanced keeper list, a 1 quarterback, 3 running back, 3 receiver list. And we're seeing that starting lineup is tough to beat right now. Adding Josh Jacobs in there at number 1 overall. I am a little concerned about your depth. Sam Darnold is yuck as your backup quarterback. That may keep you from beating the Aliens in Week 11. We'll see. Hopefully it's not an issue in the playoffs, but that is a slight weak link for you. What else is worrisome? I mean, you went out and obviously bolstered your receiving core. Are you planning other moves? Are there spots on your roster that you're feeling need to be shored up?
That was getting Sanders was really that put aside our number 1 concern as far as wide receiver depth. That was our number 1 thing because Cooks has been nowhere. I mean, just he's good at catching and Chief and I have discussed this ad nauseum. He's good at drawing pass interference penalties and maybe 59 yards, but that's it. And so it was time to cut bait. And although we've seen progress from Curtis Samuel, we really wanted to get see if we could strike while it was hot. And again, what we talked about was the price was not that much for us. So we were happy to shore that one part out. As far as a quarterback, you gotta. How can I go out and get somebody? You can't get somebody who's Aaron Rodgers. So we got 1 week, and we're hoping. Actually, if you look at Darnold's schedule, it's pretty favorable. So if he's going to break out, and we would expect it to happen at some point in the next 2 or 3 games, and hopefully it happens during Aaron's bye week.
Good luck.
Thanks.
I think you're going into the playoffs and facing, either Aaron Rodgers being rested in week 16, who knows where the Packers are sitting, or Aaron Rodgers, taking a rest week, whatever it might be. If for any reason he can't play, I think the Bears become very beatable. And to not have somebody a little more.
Well, we had 10 points last week.
Who did?
At Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but I think that's a little atypical. And, but
not exactly.
All right. Well, great. Then I think you should roll with Sam Darnold all the way to the title.
Start him.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about quarterbacks from another team in Bill's division. I think Chief suggested this topic. Looking back a little bit at the Dirt Devils and their big quarterback gambit, they got rid of longtime keeper quarterback Kirk Cousins, averaging, what do I have that? 14.8 points per game this year. Replacing him, they invested big time in the draft, a second rounder in Lamar Jackson. He is at 19.6 points per game, 5 more points per game than Cousins. They also used their third rounder on Kyler Murray. He's not doing quite as well, down at 13.2 points per game. Lamar Jackson is talked about as an NFL MVP candidate. He is not the top scoring quarterback, top 5 in fantasy. Chief, you had asked if he's a keeper. I was a little surprised at that question. I think he most definitely is. Is Kyler Murray also a keeper? What are the Devils going to end up doing with both of those guys, do you think?
Well, here's the reason of my thinking here. Okay, and I like Lamar Jackson. He seems like a really good kid, great quarterback, phenomenal athlete. I mean, Urban, you have people saying, oh, they just have a blueprint how to beat the Patriots. What other team has Lamar Jackson?
Right.
He does stuff that Cam Newton couldn't do. He does stuff that Deshaun Watson can't do. Russell Wilson, prime Mike Vick, Josh Allen, whoever. Nobody can do what Lamar Jackson did. However, Cam Newton was MVP like 4 years ago, running kind of this kind of offense. Colin Kaepernick had a phenomenal year for the ages doing stuff like this. Hasn't played in 3 years. And yes, there's political reasons there also. But the last 2 years in the league, he was not good. He was figured out. And me being a former, I don't want to sound like Al Bundy here. But listen, I'm a defensive end in high school, but I had one job on option, and that's to fucking kill the quarterback. Quarterback runs at me. I don't care if he pitches it. I fucking put his head in the ground. And sooner or later, you saw Patriots defensive ends try to play it both ways, try to play half quarterback, half pitch guy. No. You bury the quarterback and let the corner of safety worry about the pitch guy. And as soon as the league starts hitting Jackson, you wonder if he's ever going to be as good as he is right now. Mm-hmm. So, at the end of the year, if he's still playing like he is right now, obviously he's a keeper. I just wonder about his long-term success in this league.
You're not going to see him playing football at the age of 36.
No,
you can't do it.
Or 32, unless he changes his style. I mean, we've seen some evolution, not guys who were runners who then turned into pocket guys, but we've seen guys who were dangerous as far as their running, who turned into more pocket guys. But it's not sustainable. You just can't do it.
Your case there is Russ Wilson. right?
Yeah,
Russ Wilson.
he's-
I don't
right.
think
Well, there you
Russell
go.
Wilson
Exactly.
is a running quarterback anymore. I
No,
think he kills you from the pocket.
yeah, he
You know,
killed.
the other
And moving in the pocket to create passing options.
The other
Not
extreme
moving
is
to.
Bob Griffin, who, after 10 games of his career, has been useless since then.
Well, he looked to run because that's what he did best, and he didn't have the arm and the accuracy to go with it. Whereas Wilson is a
Right.
quarterback who just also happens to be an amazing athlete and can
And
run.
I think Jackson's probably between the two somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jackson's got a really good arm. I think he's an incredibly good athlete. I don't know how great of a traditional quarterback he is.
I do think that stick. I mean that. Nick has to go. Has to keep both of those next year. He's got other options
Why
just
do you
to
keep
see how
Kyler
that.
Murray at this point?
I wouldn't keep Kyler Murray.
No, you go. What else? He doesn't have any options.
Well,
it's all he has a roster that's not brimming with the kind of
That's the question. In the context of his roster, you might be able to keep two quarterbacks or not.
off season to go. There's trades to be had.
Oh well, if he wants to trade, but I think he would on the odds of taking a guy who could be a generational quote unquote quarterback. You take both of them.
And
We've seen that Murray can do the weird, crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Fran Tarkenton, I mean, geez.
Yeah.
And in general, I think this has worked out for Nick. The reason his team is struggling doesn't really have anything to do with the quarterback position.
Sure.
And now, he's got two high upside options that he can sort out over the next, 8 months here. And so I think he did well in managing the quarterbacks. He did not need to keep Cousins. He's got himself some good options going forward. He's just got other issues on his roster right now. Let's shift and talk about a different division. Let's talk about my division, the NOCO West. This is we've long talked about this being, I don't want to call it the toughest division, but it's one where for the last couple of years, all three teams have been tough to beat week in and week out. And I think even the bottom team, which has been the Aliens more often than not recently, we're coming in right at 500 or battling for a playoff spot or missing the playoffs at 7-6. Here we are again in 2019. Aliens 5-4, Lizards 5-4. Lurking just a game back, the Boba Fats, who were undefeated last year, are now 4-5. They're still capable of doing great things, I think, even this season. Who do you guys like for the division title here? And Hank, when we're done, I want you to tell us what the implications are on the wild card race if one or the other teams is out of the wild card race by virtue of being the division winner.
Sure.
Well, I'll go ahead. I'll say the Fats scare me. I mean, I was glad I didn't face him, even scoring, big points that we are. I was glad I faced him in the bye week. That when the Rams get together, there's a lot of points there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know how the schedule works out. I mean, how it actually plays and who plays what, but that I think is the scary one.
The Fats have technically the easiest schedule of our three division teams by virtue of the fact that they've already gotten the Beavers out of the way. So they've got the Devils and the Mongols still to go in your division, whereas both the Lizards and the Aliens still have the Beavers on the docket.
Well, here's a key question, and there was no way you would say this 2 months ago. One of those sentences that has never been uttered in the history of the planet before. I'm about to give breath to right now. Is DJ Chark going to be as good with Nick Foles throwing the ball as opposed to Gardner Minshew? And really, that's a legitimate question.
And no one ever.
No one ever. But,
Gardner Minshew.
We know, okay, we've seen enough happen. When a backup quarterback comes in, he has good chemistry with a guy. Usually it's a guy who was like practicing with him, like another practice squad kind of promotion guy. But you can't deny that Minshew to Chark has been outstanding this year. And you learn a little bit.
D.D. Westbrook was hurt to kind of coincide with it as well, so Chark was getting more looks. But Minshew's rise and fall was very quick, wasn't it? I mean, I feel like he was only around for 2 or 3 weeks.
I don't think he's fallen yet, but obviously
and we'll see. Does this create turmoil in Jacksonville? You know, I mean,
so you look at the Lizards, and for years have had those great receivers, but Beckham hasn't been doing much. It's really Evans and Thomas, and Evans has been once again quietly spectacular for a team nobody cares about, and Dak Prescott's been his saving grace. And you compare it to Aliens, who have Shark's been a good year as advertised, but it's really been a balanced attack for the Aliens. You look at that roster, there's not one guy who can scare you, but there's no guy who goes, he's going to get a 0, he's going to get a 1. Good balanced attack. But again, if this was even, if all 3 teams are even right now, I give the edge to the Fats. I think they're going to be great going forward. I think they have the firepower. Forced to choose right now, I'm going to go with the Aliens. I think they can better withstand some poor games from some people. Again, going back to that balance. But I think it's going to be a dogfight that's not going to be settled to week 13.
Yep. Just to make this clear, we've hinted at it a little bit, but the Lizards have really been hit hard by injuries and suspensions now.
And suspensions, yeah.
At the running back position. Let me make sure I get this right here, but we're talking about Mark Walton just got suspended for 4 weeks. We talked, I think it was 2 weeks ago, about Kerryon Johnson going on IR, done for the year. Last week, Chase Edmonds out with, I think, a hamstring for 3 or 4 weeks. So 3 straight weeks now, the Lizards have lost somebody from the running back core.
And Frank Gore getting sort of relegated to my man, Devin Singletary. So.
And Austin Eckler getting a slight downgrade with Melvin Gordon coming back. So he's going to struggle to generate a lot of points from his running backs going forward.
So to close up your discussion on your division, I think in terms of the playoff positioning and rooting interests and whatnot, I kind of showed you guys earlier that all these teams are in the chase because all 3, the Lizards, Aliens, and Fats, are very much still in the playoff mix. There's going to be some rooting interests amongst the teams. I, for example, am clearly rooting for the Aliens because I cannot beat them in any sort of wild card tiebreaker. So they beat me and they beat the Hams. So they beat all of us. So if they're in the wild card mix, they're going to get a good draw. If the Lizards are the one in the wild card mix, they have lost to both the Hams and the Wheels.
Wow.
And then the Fats, however, who are now a game behind us, but they also have beaten both the Hams and the Wheels. So all 3 teams in that mix are well positioned. However, the Lizards are the one that probably need to win the division the most in order to ensure a playoff berth because they'll lose out on some tiebreakers if they're not the division champ.
That's the kind of insight the TFFL Webcast.
There we go.
Cutting edge insight.
Fantastic.
Lizards suddenly, 2-game losing streak, and again facing the Beavers here in week 10. Lizards season suddenly in peril. It's
in peril, and they got games against the Aliens, the Fats to come. I mean, so this is not an easy stretch of 4 games here for them, and they've got to win. So pressure's on. That division is going to be really interesting as it goes. But in order for it to get 2 teams into the playoffs, there's going to need to be some chaos. Or the Fats, maybe, or someone mentioned, I think Chief mentioned that the Fats could, easily get hot and run the table.
All right, one last topic for our chat. I don't want to spend too long on this, but both Phil and Chief brought this up as a potential topic. We're going to talk about kickers. And we talked about kickers earlier in the year, looking back at the TFFL draft this year, where there was a trend toward taking kickers much earlier than usual. We had 3 of them go before the end of round 5. We had 4 more go in round 6. And when you dive into the numbers, there are 9 kickers at the top, averaging between 9.1 and 9.8 points per game. So you can look at that and make the usual argument that, it doesn't matter. Everybody can go get a good kicker. Don't waste an early draft pick on them. Let me tell you, the top 3 kickers that went this year, Greg Zuerlein in round 4, is the number one scoring kicker at 9.8 points per game. So number one kicker, number one taken, number one kicker scoring. The number two kicker taken, Harrison Butker by the Aliens, is tied for second in scoring a kicker, 9.6 points per game. The third kicker taken, Justin Tucker, tied for second at 9.6. So that's the point I want to make is the people who really go and get the top tier kickers, the top three, we nailed them. We got the right guys, and they are outperforming a lot of other kickers by 2 or 3 points a game. Mm-hmm. I think the people who maybe hurt themselves were the bandwagon kicker draftees in round 6. K-Wheels are a great example, taking Matt Bryant, who no longer has a job.
Yep.
Slippery Beavers took Steven Gostkowski.
No longer has a job.
You know, see that one coming, but nonetheless.
Not to get off the top, because we keep talking about it, but I think the problem is with like Bryant, you mentioned Vinatieri, Gostkowski, these kind of guys. We've counted on them for years, and it's like I'm not even really thinking about kicker all that much until you're looking at it and like there's been a lot more turnover and there's a lot fewer reliable guys that are in the pool. And so, yeah, I mean, I think your premise of the discussion is it worth it to reach earlier for a quality high-end kicker? There's a discussion.
The lesson here is you really have, you knew Zerline, if he stayed healthy, of course, was going to score a ton in the Rams offense. You knew Butker in the Chiefs offense was going to score a ton. Justin Tucker's been, beating up the Aliens. Yeah.
He's been the best kicker for the last 5 years.
But I think if you can't really guarantee that, and maybe Gostkowski was close to it, but, Kaimi Fairbairn and Matt Bryant, don't go reaching for that second tier of kickers in round 6.
Well, here's the thing. And at the draft this year, my primary thought was, which kicker can I draft that I'm confident, barring injury, is going to have a job from week 1 to week 17? And there was only about 7. I grabbed the last one that was on my list.
And Boswell wasn't on the list.
But he wasn't.
No.
But from there, it's just been like I'm watching football every week, and I'm seeing good kickers or average miss multiple kicks every game.
Yep.
Vinatieri cost.
I don't know what happened. I mean, yes, extra points got moved back 13 yards or something.
I think, which has turned into a fantastic thing. It makes
40-yard field goals are a struggle for some reason for 80% of the kickers in the league.
And they're losing their jobs because of it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But they keep recycling the same dirt pile of guys.
Let me tell you this. I don't know what my draft board's going to look like between now and the draft as far as what picks I have and what rounds. I would have zero problem next year picking up Justin Tucker in the 3rd. None.
Third round.
None.
Let's see that.
There's another great insight.
Great insight. But look, is that
see how that plays out?
That is, nobody is going to. You're not going to.
I had no first. It's probably not going to.
No, but getting Justin Tucker probably adds 2 to 3 points a week to your team.
He probably adds more than that rookie running back who's never going to see the field for you,
right?
Or that that number 5 receiver who plays during bye weeks. They could get a slightly worse guy around later. I think that kicker is going to be more valuable to you over the course of the season.
And I think part of the reason you guys brought this up is not just that there are a bunch of bad kickers out there missing kicks, but you can look at the TFFL scoreboard and see some kickers posting some real difference-making scores. And just looking at my own game this past week, what kept the Mongols in the game against me at the start of the Sunday was Chris Boswell, scoring 16 points against me. And I'll tell you the point where I felt like, all right, the Aliens are coming back, we're going to win this game, was when Harrison Butker piled on at the end with 8 points at the end of the Chiefs game and got to 16 points of his own. And at that point, Harrison Butker was really the momentum changer for me.
Yeah. I think you really need to get 10 points out of a kicker.
Yeah. That's a minimum. Yeah. I mean,
and frankly, there aren't that many kickers that are going to do that week in and week out. They're just hard. So
I mean, again, Nick in round 4 this year, I think took a.
Well, it's got to be 12.
Yep. We'll see if it's as early as round 3 next year, but that would not surprise me. All right. Without Terry here, Chief, I hope you can give us a quick spin through the schedule.
I'm unprepared, but sure.
And a game of the week, and we have a special bonus, just an insight-packed webcast this week. Hank, with all sorts of extra preparation, is going to give us TFFL bye-week winners and losers in Week 10 after we hear the schedule here.
Okay. So I don't think I'm in any danger of saying the Giant Killers and Senators probably knock the game of the week. The Senators are actually favored by 5. I haven't looked at the lineup. I don't know. I know Berto's been busy doing other stuff. He may have a few bye weeks in there or injuries. Mongols -1 over the Boba Fast. I'm going to assume it's the same reason. Yeah, I don't think Dirt Devils or Raelians is any danger of being the game of the week. Dirt Devils favored by 6 right now, as things stand. The Bro Bowl, Lamb Pack over Hormel Hams. That's a good game. It's important to both teams.
Mm-hmm.
More important to the Hams. Now, listen, the Hams aren't done. The Hams could still win the division.
Mm-hmm.
I feel lucky to take a point out the Lamb Pack on a day we both played, frankly, shitty. We tied for the lowest score of the week. Lamb Pack, Sponge, and Mongols all had 49.
Mm-hmm.
A week after the Sponge had 99. Sponge K-Wheels, Sponge favored by 10. So let's go for the game of the week, something we briefly touched on earlier. Beavers and the Lizards. Currently, Beavers favored by 25. Lizards haven't. I feel confident it's going to be about Beavers by 10 by the time the lineup change has been made. Lizards are a good team. Like Stick mentioned, they're losing a lot of players. But I really think they can't lose many more games, if any more games, if they're going to make the playoffs. So it's kind of a fight or die game for the Lizards. That's what I'll go with 0 preparation for my game of the week.
And hey, as a reminder to the league, for those people who actually watch us, and I know there's at least a handful, set your lineups before we get on the webcast, and it makes it a little easier for us to.
He's got 0s for Mark Walton, for Jordan Howard.
I'm waiting on that. I'm staring at it, like checking on it every 15 minutes.
So Michael Thomas has got to be in there with his projected 11, and one of the tight ends both project 4 right now will be in there.
Yep.
So give Lizards 15 more. And again, we're looking at a 10-point spread.
All right.
Lizards might cover, but Beavers are loaded. I like their chances.
So let's talk a little bit about this Week 10 ahead of us. That's it. That's very interesting. This is the first of 3 consecutive weeks they're going to really be impacted by the buys, and the matchups are not going to be as pure as they kind of have been to this point. Week 10, I've kind of drawn a line. There's 6 teams who are really kind of getting the short end of the stick. I'm calling them in the hurt box, and there are 6 teams who are getting an advantage this week due to bye weeks. So let's start with the good. Let's start with the guys who are getting an advantage. Number 1 guy is sitting there drinking his cocktail right now. The Beavers have only 1 player on a bye this week, and that is Rex Burkhead. Who cares? Thorny's going to be just fine. He has a full lineup. The Sponge also are in pretty good shape. Their only loss is Edelman right now, but otherwise they will have a full complement of players. Now, the Fats and the Lizards, the Sticks Division opponents, are only 2 men down apiece on their rosters. And then the Hams and the Sens only have 3 rostered players that are not playing. All 6 of those teams are, in fine shape. And aside from DeAndre Hopkins for the Sens and Edelman for the Sponge, none of these guys are huge impacts. So those 6 teams are looking really good. Teams in the hurt box, teams that are not looking so good. The K-Wheels are losing 4 starters this week. We lose 4 starters, including my Broncos players and my Texans. I lose Watson, Cortland Sutton. So I'm in trouble there on the wide receiver front specifically. I think I lose DK Metcalf as well, maybe. No, he's playing. I lose another receiver as well. The AMPAC are losing 3.5 starters. They got a timeshare thing, but they're losing 3 starters this week as well due to bye weeks. The Killers are losing 7 players on their roster. So 7 players out of their 20 active players are on a bye week. Well, the Mongols are right behind them with 6. So they have 6 active players. And then the Devils and the Aliens each have 5 rostered players that are not playing. So those 6 teams have got a significant challenge ahead this week, while some of the others are going to feast, hopefully, on those disadvantages. So that's what it looks like in week 10, and we'll have similar pictures for the next couple of weeks as well.
Great analysis. I loved it.
We're gonna get some insight, but the Sponger, you got your lost Edelman. You got somebody you can start for Edelman.
Yeah, I have. I got Golden Tate, who's the only receiver available this week with Ingram and Sterling Shepard out, and I think Howard's going to blow up against. I'm predicting OJ Howard gets his like 60-yard game and a touchdown this week. And I'm
God, that's cool. I got to play you this week. Am I playing you this week?
You are. Love Deshaun Watson.
We cannot. I know no Deshaun Watson. You get to face the mighty Derek Carr in his steed. Who's coming off a nice game, but he's playing Thursday night, which I hate.
Thursday night, yep.
I hate those games.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it. But I had Roethlisberger as my backup quarterback. IR
with both offensive tackles questionable.
Yeah, thanks.
That's nothing new for the Raiders.
They play the Raiders have been playing better. I mean, in fact, I picked the Raiders tomorrow night. Maybe I'm being a little homerish because I want Carr to play very well, but I think the Raiders are going to beat the Chargers. The Chargers are reeling right now. We'll see.
They should beat Green Bay.
They played great in Green Bay. They're going to be tired.
How is that reeling?
Reeling in exhaustion.
Here's the thing, I think the Brandon Cooks injury is potentially very significant. Not so much because the Beavers lose a receiver; that they'll be fine. But I would expect somebody like Robert Woods to step up. He has 0 touchdowns this year.
I know.
And I think Thomas Everett's a tight end. Is that still a tight end?
Gerald Everett's the tight end.
Gerald Everett. Sorry, Gerald Everett. Yeah.
We'll have him in their lineup.
You know what else does know? I didn't even know it until 2 hours ago. Devontae Adams doesn't have a touchdown this year. He's on my team, and I know that.
And he's got
very, very due.
Yeah, he's missed 4 games, but still.
Mm-hmm.
But Robert Woods is a guy. Cooper Kupp is just putting up huge numbers. But if Robert Woods in Brandon Cook's absence can step up, that would certainly help the K-Wheels. But
let's start doing that this week, right now. Woods and Everett this week could be huge.
But tough week for the K-Wheels against the 6-2-1 Sponge with all those guys missing from the K-Wheels lineup.
Yep.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you. Put best foot forward. That's all I can do.
All right.
Derrick Henry. So let's hope.
So very simple trivia answer for you guys this week, although not everybody may get it. But
not simple for me.
2 points for every correct name. I'm looking for the 3 founding owners of the TFFL.
I assume Hank's right.
Hank is correct.
So I'll take 2.
Yep.
All right.
Kramer was 4th.
No
right?
points.
Kramer was 4th, and then it was Berkman and Hogboy, right?
It might have been Ralph, Rich, and Kramer
at the same time
when we went from 3 to 6. And then
Freddie and Hogboy were the next.
Wait, how many? What the first year? How many people? How many teams do you have?
We had 3.
3. We lived in an apartment, and we did it out of the newspaper.
No way! Oh, you had to wait till it came out Tuesday.
I think we had to start 2 quarterbacks that year.
We wrote them down on a piece of paper. And then
somebody got a scratched up, thrown away copy of how to run a fantasy league, and look what it turned into.
Here we are.
So 6 points for Hank, 4 for Chief, none for the guests.
Hey, wait! I still get a point for the. I answered a question earlier.
We'll give Bill a point for that, and Berto gets 0.
Okay.
You can always answer Mongols.
All right. So 6-4-2.
Sure.
No, we're not giving him 2. We're giving him 1. We give him 1. 6-4.
641. Sure.
All right. Sure. All right. Sounds good.
6410.
Right.
All right. So that will bring us to, if Chief is 4, he's at 30. Hank at 6 is at 23. Berto stays solid at 13. And the guest is going up to now 2.
2. We double our score.
100% increase.
That's great improvement.
Yep. Great improvement all there. All right. So 30 for Chief, 23 for Hank, 13 for Berto, 8 for TR, and 2 for the guest.
If we continue at this pace, we'll own the world in a week.
I like it.
Sounds something the Mongols would say.
All right.
For the Mongols website, Chief.
The Twitter's Mongols was very active and very great during the election.
Yes, I saw it. I started subscribing to it. I saw it the other day.
You have to.
Hey,
no, they wanted to sell send somebody back. It was a gospel singer, send him back to 1356 or something like that.
No, it was Queen Latifah.
Queen Latifah, right? Not a gospel singer. Sorry.
Gospel singer Queen Latifah.
Yeah. Here's my favorite one. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. And twice more. Why has nobody translated baby shark into shark?
That's good. I like that. That's good humor. Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Go K-Wheels.
Hey, so this is perfect. We have Veterans Day coming up. Happy Veterans Day, Bill.
And my birthday, same day.
Oh, wow.
Mine's the day before yours, Thorny.
We got
Thanks, guys.
Yes.
Bill's birthday coming
absolutely.
up on the 10th.
Hey, Phil.
Yep.
So all sorts of reasons to celebrate. Let's hope we all have another reason to celebrate after.
And frankly, this is the most packed schedule of sporting events right now. We should celebrate that fact. Next 2 weeks, I mean, we've got basketball. I mean, Syracuse is playing right now. We've got, playoffs, all the college football stuff going and come together. Hockey's going, basketball's going. This is our Nirvana month right now. So
come on,
enjoy it while we have it.
Right to May when you get the basketball playoffs, the hockey playoffs.
Yeah, but that's it. But that's all you have. I'm talking, we're packed.
Yeah, there's a lot of good. This is a good period of time of sports. You are correct, Thorny.
And if you like EPL and UEFA, Formula One, there's all sorts of shit going on. So
the volume, the significance of the games isn't quite there yet.
And you're just
TFFL is #1 though.
Right.
Of course, but you're just a little extra happy because Penn State's relevant.
Oh yeah. It's very, very relevant, as in numero cuatro.
Let's see them play Ohio State, and then we'll talk.
Are they really?
How about Minnesota? We got Minnesota this week. Yeah, we're 4 in the country.
Minnesota's getting shafted, man.
They'll bury Minnesota
in the polls.
At Minnesota at 11 o'clock our time.
I maybe I'll be shocked, but I think it'll be not close. 20.
Then we got Indiana, who's also 6-2, and then we got Ohio State.
Really good opponents.
If we win them, I mean, you don't question it.
If we win them,
if you win them all, no, you're going places.
Hey, I'm determined to keep us under an hour here. So
we got no time.
We got 1 minute and 13 seconds. So hey, our next webcast, of course, will be next Wednesday, November 13th. In the meantime, good luck to everybody in week 10. I'm
out. I won't be in the mood.
I hope not.
Happy birthday to Hank. Good luck to everybody in week 10. We'll see you back here next Wednesday. Take care.
Good luck to all.
All right. Good luck.
Fagans.
Peace.